I became an actor, I never fantasized about playing James Bond. As a kid, yeah. But that was being James Bond, that was something else.
Welcome to Being James Bond, the longest running James Bond podcast in the world.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
And welcome back to another episode of Being James Bond. I am your good buddy, head of section, your podcast pal. What's going on? We finally got a little bit of news this week. Not long after the announcement that Amazon had taken creative control over the James Bond series, we've already got our first announcement. So I'll keep this really brief. I'm going to bring in a couple guys that we're going to talk to about some events happening in California. So I'll keep this short and sweet. I really don't have a whole lot to add to this conversation. I don't know what it means just yet. But I did say when the merger happened that I was happy that things were going to start moving along. I said doesn't mean for damn sure that it's going to be smooth sailing going forward. It only means that we've gotten the boat away from the dock. So here we are with our first move, and okay, I'm lukewarm on it. I'll just say that. So, Amy Pascal and David Heyman closed deals to produce the next James Bond movie for Amazon MGM. The producers are behind the Spider-Man and the Harry Potter franchises. Right there is where my mixed feelings come from. First off, it is good news that they're moving quickly. Again, this is what we were hoping for, and as I've been saying for years, and I promise I don't like repeating myself, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but I've been saying for years, everything is going to be at a dead stop as long as Eon has it, and once they relinquish control, I think things will move quickly, and that's exactly what is happening. So let me read this from The Hollywood Reporter. It's official. The James Bond franchise has found its producers in Amy Pascal and David Heyman. The duo have been tapped by Amazon MGM to steer the new Bond film, the first to be produced by someone outside of the Broccoli family. Okay, so two people that I have some familiarity with, not a lot. David Heyman was not that familiar to me, but he was the person behind a lot of the Harry Potter films. He produced Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for Quentin Tarantino. He did the Paddington movies 1 and 2, which people seem to like very much. And he also has 1 or 2 films that are much more low budget. I'm looking specifically at Marriage Story, which was more of a character drama with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. Very good movie. So, yeah, that's fine. Okay, there. And Amy Pascal. Amy Pascal was the one that gave me a little cringe because if you remember Amy Pascal, was a very prominent producer for Sony at one point. Sony, which obviously was part of James Bond for a little while. Probably most well known for getting herself into a little trouble with some leaked emails way back in like 2015, I think it was. And a couple other projects. She did the 2016 Ghostbusters. Was not a fan of that one, to say the least. Also, she was the one a little most wrapped up in Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man, Marvel had... I don't know the details of the plan, but a couple of those Marvel Spider-Man films with Tom Holland, she was really involved with that by name only, if I have the story correct. Really was Marvel, Kevin Feige's team that really worked on those. She was also the producer on the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse films, which were pretty good. Very good, honestly. But she was also tied up in Venom, those Venom movies, which were pretty dismal. At least in my humble opinion. They were good for a couple of chuckles, but not much more. So I'm very mixed. I'm very mixed on her. But again, these are producers and these are people who are very familiar with blockbuster franchises. So in that respect, I don't know what kind of creative control they're going to try to exercise in doing these films. Maybe they're just going to hand the reins over to the writers and director of the film. But what this should tell us is that for anybody who was worried that James Bond was going to end up being some sort of a streaming service thing going forward, no, Bond is still going to be a Hollywood blockbuster. So I think we can all take comfort in that. But again, it's still very early. It's hard to know what will come of these events. But again, we'll stay on top of it, and again, I'll give you my honest opinion. But again, I wish this was something I feel like I should probably go to an AJ Chowdhury or a Bill Koenig to try to get a little more facts on how I should feel about this. But anyway, the thing I do take away is things are moving. Things are moving along. And, we might be talking about Bond 26 in the near future. Oh, and also, by the way, literally minutes before I started recording this intro, the Ian Fleming Publications is going to publish a Raymond Benson Felix Leiter novel. If you were a Bond fan in the 90s, you know about Raymond Benson. He was doing the Bond books for quite a while. And yeah, it was kind of great. I've always said that the 90s was a real good time to be a Bond fan. A new film every 2 years and a Raymond Benson novel basically every year. So you had your summer beach reading every year. Love Raymond Benson's work, and I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this. So I'm very excited about that. So again, hey, things are starting to happen. So that is the takeaway from all this. So good things happening, and we'll stay on top of it. For now, we're going to talk to Neil and Steve, the team behind To Live and Let Die in L.A., and they are the group behind From Culver With Love, which is doing this year a Bond-themed film festival, which I will let them tell you about. But again, keeping in the themes of new things happening in 2025, new groups that are popping up all over to keep the Bond celebration going strong. And I just recently sort of came across some of the things these guys were doing, and I said, you know what? Hey, we're talking about new groups, new things happening, so why don't we bring them on and talk to them about who they are and what they're doing. So yeah, let's bring them in. Neil and Steve from To Live and Let Die in LA. Let's get going.
Transmission begins from Moneypenny.
Neil McNally and Steve Kilcullen. What's going on, gentlemen?
Hello. Thanks for having us.
How are you, Joe?
I am good, thank you. And the group is To Live and Let Die in LA, which I think is so damn cool. I love the combination of two cool movies together.
That was my brother, actually, that gave us that name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
We were
appreciative
thinking,
of that.
What do we call an LA-centric Bond group? And he just went, man, To Live and Let Die in LA.
Right? and I'm a child of the 80s, too, so I love the reference. It's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is cool. So listen, I obviously, as you guys probably know, I've been doing a series talking to people about events happening in 2025, and you guys got on the radar, and I see you guys doing stuff out by you, so I wanted to bring you in.
Sure.
But since I'm kind of meeting you guys for the first time, I wanted to kind of just grill you a little bit, and I'll kind of ask you what I tend to ask a lot of people that I'm meeting for the first time. Neil, give me your favorite Bond movie or movies. If you want to give me your top 5, top 3, or just top 1, what do you got?
Well, I would say Dr. No is my favorite, and I explained it last night at the screening because it is my main favorite one. It's because it was the first one I saw, and after my dad had bought me a bunch of the Fleming books, I read them, and I went to Blockbuster and bought it. And I also just love that it's just a straight story of Bond trying to solve what's going on Crab Key, and it's a very simple, kind of a simple film, and for that I really enjoy it and think it's just great. And Connery is just wonderful in it. So
I tell you, I'm very much with you on that.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like I think similar to how you're feeling. I love that it's, people sort of forget, like, this wasn't a James Bond movie as much as this was sort of the film of an Ian Fleming novel,
Yeah.
So I love that it's the novel on the big screen. And
Yeah.
it is kind of a much simpler detective story with a couple of Bond flourishes. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's great.
Steve, same
Yes.
question.
Let's see. Oh boy. Well, my dad took me to see Octopussy when I was 5. He still claims, man, that never happened, but it became kind of a thing because that name, I remember when that movie came out, that name was like a no-no in the house. Like, you don't say that name, don't even look at it. And it was kind of a surprise one day. And so of course I come home and I'm like, oh my God, Octopussy was great. And So my dad's like, that never happened. So that I have a real soft spot for that movie, and also Moonraker, because I was 10 when I first saw that, and I make no apologies. That movie is like top 3 for me. It goes, honestly, it's Her Majesty's Secret Service, Moonraker, then Dr. No are like my top 3 favorite Bond movies.
That's I like that. That's a pretty eclectic grouping there.
Yeah,
it's got range.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. So Neil, yeah, like I said, before we kind of get into like the calendar, yeah, you guys had a screening just last night as of this recording. So yeah, what was it and how did it go?
Well, we screened Dr. No. It was a 4K remaster, which looked beautiful. There were things that I had never seen in the film at that point. It was really great. Huge crowd, over 120 people came, so that was really really good. The theater was very packed. Steve Rubin, the author, spoke beforehand.
Oh, nice. Good catch.
Yeah. And then he did a question and answer session afterwards as well. So we were very happy with that. And the theater was very happy. So they were just happy to have that many people come for that. So
it was a very receptive audience too. And there was a fair amount of people in there because Steve Rubin had asked, hey, has anybody not seen this movie? And there were a good amount of hands that shot up, which was exciting for us because, I was just waiting for, you've had your 6, which got from a couple people. It still shocks people when they don't know that it's coming. But yeah. And like when Neil said he noticed things they hadn't noticed before. Have any of you guys ever noticed the books in Strangway's house when right before his secretary gets assassinated? All of a sudden, my eyes just went right to 2 books. They had the FBI story, big hardcover right there on the bookshelf above the radio, and then a book called Obsolete English.
Oh wow, okay.
I missed most of because I've seen the movie a million times. So that whole scene during that whole close up, I'm going Obsolete English. I wonder what what kind of book that is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Why they have it and what it's used for.
Something that we found out that I didn't know, pardon me, is that all the films have been remastered in 4K. They just haven't been released. So I think they're going to release the first 6 ones soon for Blu-ray. But yeah, so all of them are all done. So all of these will be screened and like for that. So we're really psyched about that. So
and Dr. No is a great one too, because I can remember. I think I had like the special edition DVDs. I had all of those. I mean, I've had laser discs and VHS before that, but I can remember the first round of DVDs. But I think it was the Blu-rays where I really started to notice, particularly in Dr. No. I remember in Moneypenny's office in the beginning, like you really started to see more color. Like more of a hue that came off of the you know what I mean? There's a lot of scenes where I was really noticing like really improved color and all that stuff.
Yeah, you could see like people's skin pores. I mean, I had never quite seen that before. So that was very it was really bright and vibrant. So
the how blue the sky is in Jamaica in this print that they showed us was whoa. Because we were pretty close up front. So it was like, hey, we just went to Jamaica.
Right. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on a successful kickoff to the film festival, I guess we'll call it.
Yeah.
I love the name of it, from Culver With Love. And I'm going to ask a dumb question, but Culver, that's a part of LA?
Yes. Yeah. So it's screened in Culver. Yeah. So it's from Culver With Love. So yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
Very cool. All right, so you guys have a pretty full docket with the films you're going to be showing. So walk me through it.
Yeah, basically in May we're going to do The Living Daylights.
Nice.
And a lot of people are excited about that. Neil said that people have messaged me, they've messaged him going, "Whoa, yeah, this is great. We love that Dalton is being represented." And and it's we want, and Neil was the one that said, we should let's just go right into The Living Daylights. Let's just have awesome. That be the second one. And we were like,
he's wonderful.
Dalton is one of our favorite Bonds. And those 2 are favorites of ours. So
I'm glad you're showing it some love too, because I totally agree. I think Living Daylights, as I'm looking at it, I'm saying to myself, yeah, I saw that one on the big screen when it came out, and it'd be great to see it on the big screen again, because that's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just rewatched it. It's great, and he's so good. I love Craig, but you couldn't have Craig if you didn't have Timothy Dalton, because he really was
Yeah.
set that
Yeah.
template for that. So
Agreed.
And it's still like I still have all my old Star logs from like
Yes.
when I was 10
yeah, me too.
that had all
Starlog,
actually,
right? Yep.
I was at my parents my brother and I went to Gatherall this past August, and afterwards we went up to my parents in Pennsylvania, and I just went through all my old Star logs, and there's like I got some Instagram posts from back then that has a whole bunch of pictures of I just took pictures of like the articles, the photographs, and for a good chunk of time there, Starlog was all about Living Daylights and Timothy Dalton and Bond, and they were interviewing Richard Maibaum and doing little like retrospectives and stuff, and it was so like I just remember being really excited because I loved Roger Moore, but all of a sudden, I also like Schwarzenegger movies and like the really high octane 80s action stuff, and so all of a sudden this James Bond movie comes out that starts in a real high octane badass way with that truck chase flying off the cliff, and it's just that's like in my top like pre-credit sequence. It's incredible, and the music 100%. John Barry's music, it's so good.
Yeah, we definitely share a mind on that one. I one of the best pre-titles, and then I think one of Barry's best scores is
me too. I have a hard time picking between that and Majesties as my favorite Barry Bond, because they're both, I can't pick between the two of them.
Yes. And it's, I feel like there's some similarities in there too,
Yeah.
And then we're doing Thunderball for the 60th. So we're going to do that, which I'm really psyched for.
Nice.
We're still trying to plan out what we're going to do for that. But I mean, in terms of like speakers or guests. So
and we want to make that a real party because we're doing it in July. It's the perfect time of year for that movie, and want everybody to wear their cabana wear,
Nice. That's cool that you got a good anniversary one too. That's pretty well.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna rip the Band-Aid off, and then we're gonna do Die Another Day. So that we were requested by the theater to not front load everything with like the most perfect films. So we're gonna show a variety in the first round. So, and I think we're just gonna, for the people that have seen it, we're gonna see it again. For the ones that haven't, we're gonna play things up with that, I think, and just have fun. So
nothing wrong with that. I mean, honestly, if you want a Bond film that like there's some Bond films that that are, I won't say serious, but take themselves a little seriously. Then there's other ones where you just want to chomp popcorn and crack jokes as you're watching it. So, I mean, that's a great one, man.
I remember I used to really not like that movie, and over time, every once in a while, I'd go, you know what? I haven't seen this one a whole lot. I'll just put it on.
Yeah.
And I've grown to like it a lot more. It's still not, my top 5 or anything, but I've got a lot of appreciation for it. And I feel that because we've been getting messages too from people going, "Oh, cool, you're doing Die Another Day. That's awesome." People like it. And I kind of have a feeling that one's going to be a party too, in a way. That might end up like some kind of like midnight movie situation. I don't know.
Yep. And again, actually, I don't want to jump ahead, but I was going to say, I mean, I love the fact that you guys have picked films, you've pretty much across the board, where every like 4 of the Bond actors are all represented here. So
A View to a Kill will close things off, the 40th for that. So
another anniversary.
That's a film that people have more and more respect for as time goes on. And I recently rewatched it, and it's really fun. Christopher Walken is just really on point, and it's just,
oh man,
I think people have fun with that one. I mean, the soundtrack is tremendous, and the score and Duran and all of that. It's really like a time capsule of that period. So I'm very happy that we're going to have that. So,
and I know people kind of deride how, it's Roger Moore and his stuntman. But
well, there definitely are a lot of them there.
But for some reason, I don't know what, like, especially like the drawbridge gag when it's Roger Moore, and then all of a sudden it's obviously not Roger Moore jumping onto it. I find there's something about that that's just so charming to me. I don't know. It's I think it kind of adds to, it's like, all right, come on, guys,
Yeah.
But that blimp sequence at the end on the bridge is still
Sure.
heart racing,
Good.
Yes.
heart pounding
Hair
stuff.
raising. Absolutely.
It still looks and pace is really great. And
Yeah.
when you watching that on the big screen, especially with those shots where the stunt guys were actually up there,
Yeah.
fighting for a couple of seconds here and there. That's even on the little TV.
Right. No, that's so true. And again, like you said, I love that you got a good balance here of like some of the more serious, espionage bonds, but then the fun ones. I've been saying for a while now about A View to a Kill. I said, again, it's a lot of these are like, again, something has to be on the lower end of my rankings if you're going to sit there and say, what do you like most? What do you like? Whatever. But on the other hand, it's like there's some Bond films that I really want to like and just can't do it or whatever. And then there's some films that I don't want to like, but somehow I still do it. I think that's a beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like I don't, you know what I mean? It's like I'm waving the white flag. I'm sorry, I do enjoy watching it when it's on.
Yeah.
I mean, I think part of that is just I love to your point. I mean, it is funny and almost kind of charming how Roger Moore is the occasional stand-in for the stuntman.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like there's Roger. I love that Roger Moore is playing Roger Moore. It's like he I feel like that's just him at this point, and it's kind of fun, just seeing him have a good time with it and everything.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of the whole St. John Smythe bit. How they just they really take that and just run with it for
a while, a long while.
Yes. Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like Roger Moore is very like, for a guy who, like, by the time Connery was done, you could sort of tell he wanted to be done.
Yeah.
But I feel like Roger Moore is having a blast in this. You know, like he is absolutely having fun with this movie.
Yeah.
And we can't forget that Grace Jones,
but it didn't really seem like they had to twist his arm.
Yeah. No.
Right. Yeah.
To keep him. Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Neil, to your point, I love that Grace Jones is in here. I was talking about her in a different capacity recently, and I was saying like she was like it's kind of hard to even, if somebody said who's Grace Jones, why is she famous? It's hard to even explain.
Yeah,
but she was just such an icon of the mid '80s.
Yeah.
So
that
it really
silhouette alone,
yes.
You just know who she is.
Yeah. So that wraps that up for the year, and then we haven't planned out for the next year, but we've talked about some things. So, but it's a good run, so we're pretty stoked for that. So
nice,
and we'll put up. We have these pre-shows.
Oh yeah,
where Neil and I kind of like sort of pick these clips, like sketches or maybe old interview clips and things like that. We try to find like things that maybe aren't necessarily seen a whole bunch or maybe hadn't seen it in a long time. And so it's about like 20-minute long sort of super edit.
Okay.
And Neil put the first one together. And so we're going to put that up on the YouTube page. So everybody can kind of like check that out. We'll do that for each movie. So each movie will have like a specific cool pre-show that'll sort of go along with whatever the movie is.
Yeah.
Nice. I would love to see it. If you guys want to send me a link to it, I would love to take a look at it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool.
We had some Sean Connery on To Tell the Truth, I think was the game show from the 60s, or just like there's like all this weird crazy promotional stuff we found from Dr. No. Is just fun stuff. So
I think the weirdest was that German commercial you found.
Yeah, there's this, I don't want to blow anything, but
he continues to de-age as he's.
It's like Sean Connery clearly was paid to do.
Oh,
this.
I know exactly the one you're talking about. Yeah. I popped that onto a Gatherall reel reason.
Oh, you did? Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's a funny one. Yes.
He clearly got paid.
It's funny
for that.
because it's like the very early days of like CGI.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like when he moves his mouth at the end, it looks
weird.
Back then, I think it looked wild, but today it's a little wonky.
Yeah.
Especially on the big screen when you can really see like his face ain't kind of like.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, totally. So what prompted? Well, first off, I try to think of a polite way to ask this, but who the hell are you guys? And like, how do you know each other? And like, how did you decide to sort of come up with this and launch this project?
Well, my background is in film and graphic design, and I'm just a huge Bond fan. I'm, fan of the books, obviously first, and then the movies, and it's just always been a passion. So recently, September, August, I started to think. Well, I mean, I realize that you guys do Gather All, and there's clubs all across, and I was like, well, we live in the city that's film, that's like the center of film, and I was like, and there's no real representations of Bond that happen a lot here. And I thought, well, maybe we can start a society or something along similar to what like they do at Capital Royale and different things, and but theme it around LA and film as much as we can. So I put some ads on Craigslist and Reddit, and found Steve that way.
Oh,
right,
cool.
Steve? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Because what's
yeah,
funny
Steve contacted me.
is I was at this past Gather All, and you and I met like for 2 seconds. Like, you were like, hey, and that was, because you were hosting it, dude. So and there were like 250 people there. So
yeah,
but it was really, really cool. And for a hot minute, I talked to David Zaritsky, and I was there with my brother Chris. He's the style is my Bond, with all the cool fit checks and stuff. And so David goes, so LA, man, what's going on in LA Bond wise? And I said, well, actually there's a lot going on Bond wise, because my girlfriend and I had seen Gloria Hendry do a whole night of Bond music at the Catalina Jazz Club out here, and we had hung out with a bunch of Bond girls in Burbank with Phil Dewhurst from the Great Britain 007 fan club, and so got to know him and all of them that way. But there was no like kind of centralized. There wasn't anything like Gather All. There wasn't anything like like my brother's a member of Capital Royale. He goes and does all their meetups and stuff.
Nice.
And I was like, I was looking at what they were doing, and David even said, well, why don't you go back to LA and, see if you can start something or whatever. Even my dad was like, man, go, hook up with some guy out there and put your heads together. And that's exactly because I didn't want to like start something and then realize, oh, there is actually a club. Because I looked before, but there was there was nothing. And same with Neil. He said he had looked and there was nothing. And literally the week that I was going to like start asking around and or put a post up or something on Instagram or whatever, I saw Neil's message on Reddit, and he put it up like maybe 2 days before. Yeah. And so I just wrote him an email and said, hey man, we're on the same wavelength.
Nice.
Yeah. So I think we got some cocktails later on, like about a week after that, and kind of hashed a plan for all of it. It began really slow because we didn't know how because we didn't have like a big member list at that point. So we all just kind of in October just had like drinks with people. We put a public notice out saying, if you're a fan, just come on down. And I'd say about 8 people came. Steve, what do you think? Yeah.
That's bad.
And from there it's kind of grown, which is great.
Nice.
So,
I tell you, it's funny. I mean, I have heard people say to me like, oh, like people would sort of moan and groan, oh, how come everything's always happening on the East Coast? There's never anything on the West Coast. And I'm like, well, dude, like, first off, I'm like, how can that be? I mean, like, how could it be that in California, like, there really is not you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm glad that somebody's taking the reins and starting to put that together.
Yeah. Yes. And we're still even kind of like, we can't believe that we're like the first. And I assumed, man, for years there had to have been some LA James Bond fan club that would do stuff. And no.
Right.
So it's just so hey, serendipitous.
Yeah. Nice.
We really did, luck out and like meeting each other, and we're the same age.
We same likes and stuff. Pop culture likes,
Yeah. We can like we know exactly what each other is basically like thinking and talking and stuff.
So it's worked out.
Yeah.
Nice.
And doing it together makes it fairly stress-free.
Yeah, it's good with 2 people.
Yeah. We're both picking up equal slack and, doing this and that and making sure that all the bases are covered, and so that no one's like, oh my God, we didn't do this because yesterday was really exciting, and I was more excited than nervous when we showed up, because I thought, you know what, man, we're gonna watch a movie.
Right.
And everybody likes James Bond, so
that is cool. I love that you got Stephen J. Rubin to do your that's
Neil.
really cool.
Neil did that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it kind of was full circle for me because when I got into Bond when I was like 13, my dad bought me the encyclopedia, and I knew he was
Yes.
in LA. And when we started this, I wrote him and I said, "Would you like to be on our mailing list?" And he was like, "Sure, sure, that's great." So then when this happened, I wrote him again and I said, "Could you maybe speak?" And he was like, "I'd love to," and it was very easy, and he signed the book for me. So it was kind of like full circle for to have
Nice.
like Dr. No is my favorite, and he came and spoke, and the screenings fell into place really easily too because in October the Culver Theater, without us, screened Goldeneye, and because they were doing like a '90s retrospective, and
Okay.
because they constantly screen older movies, so we went and we helped them promote it, and you got connected with them through that, right, Steve?
Yeah, on through like Instagram and stuff. I would just, I just tagged them in posts and said, "Hey, gang, Culver Theater is showing
Yeah.
Goldeneye. Let's all go see the movie and then go around the corner for some drinks." And then that's where we met Bruce Fierstein because he introduced the movie,
Mhm.
and that's where we met Tom Beto, who curates
program.
and is our guy at the Culver Theater, and came to us and said, "Hey, you guys want to do this?"
Yeah, and he
He's a
had been
big
thinking
Bond
about it
fan.
too. So it was all three of us, and then so we do it in conjunction with him. And we had a meeting a couple months ago and firmed it all up, and it really fell into place well. And it's good
Yeah.
timing in light of what's happening with the Amazon stuff, and it's just like
Yeah, yeah.
the right time for this though. So
Maybe I should ask you guys, did I'm sure you've heard the rumor, the announcement. I shouldn't call
yeah.
it a rumor anymore. The new producers on the film. Any thoughts?
I mean, I'm really optimistic. I'm just happy there's going to be Bond out there again.
Hmm.
Both producers are very qualified.
Yeah.
They've been in charge of huge franchises. So, I mean, I'm always an optimistic person to begin with. So I mean, there were two Bond films in 10 years, and I don't think those are great numbers. So I'm hoping that we get
Yeah.
much more than that. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed. So
And
Yeah.
like Neil, I'm very optimistic. I'm very excited because it's hey, we're gonna get a James Bond movie, and
Yep.
and like Neil said, the producers are they got very very nice resumes, and I'm a big Paddington fan, and I
mhm,
know that with David Haymer
yeah.
is responsible for those movies, so
Hmm.
that even I just put me over the moon. I said, you know what, I think it's time for some fresh blood and
Yeah.
other people that are excited. I would not that the Broccolis weren't excited, but
No, they're
no matter
great. I
how
mean,
much you love something, and I know it was a gut punch for it to not be in the family anymore, but there's got to be some burnout, and
Yeah.
after a while, and
clearly.
No, no, I totally agree. I'm with you 100% there. I think it is a really good time to be optimistic. And so, do you guys want to kind of drop any hints as to what the 2026 is going to bring for you guys, or is it still
I
ooh,
think Steve brought some things up last night to me that were intriguing. I don't know.
yeah, we of course we're gonna look at like anniversary movies.
Yeah,
mhm.
And Tom did remind us that next year is Casino Royale's anniversary,
yeah,
Yeah,
20th.
which is
and
kind of hard
that
to
is a
believe.
I
that is
know,
a
right?
much loved movie.
It makes me feel old. So
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
doesn't it?
yeah, I know. Yeah,
Jeez. I mean,
But
honestly, I mean it's bad enough saying like, that I went to the Roger Moore movies in the theater, so it's like,
yeah,
I'm always showing my age to the younger guys, but it's like 20 years? It's
yeah,
that's hard to swallow.
it
yeah,
is.
because that particular 20 years like sort of blinked and oh, it was gone.
Yeah,
Now we're doing anniversaries for
Yeah,
things,
honestly, it's crazy.
but that'll be good. I think that'll be a big show.
Yeah.
We probably won't be able to get Daniel Craig to
probably not.
say
Probably
hi,
not.
but we'll ask. We'll see.
I'm gonna say he's
Without
probably
a
not gonna be
doubt.
there.
Yeah,
It's on the screen.
but yeah, don't anybody get their hopes up. But I was talking to Neil about like, oh, what if we did like kind of the three middle movies? Because I think that one of these is an anniversary too, which would be
Oh,
serendipitous, and
Mm,
thought we'd do maybe the Tracy trilogy, which
we tied together.
is On Her Majesty's Secret Service, For Your Eyes Only, and License to Kill.
Okay. All right. I
Possibly,
get
you
it.
know, we're throwing it out there, but
Nice.
It's just an idea. It
Yeah.
might not work, but it would be kind of cool.
I tell you, actually, I kind of love that thought. I've always sort of said that I think For Your Eyes Only kind of works as sort of an unofficial sequel.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, if you skipped right from On Her Majesty's to For Your Eyes Only, I feel like it kind of feels like it sort of works, you know?
Yeah.
Because literally, like, the last thing you see is her getting murdered, and then the first thing you see in Eyes is her grave.
Yeah. You know,
and
then
the
it
whole
kind of
theme
goes
of it,
downhill after that.
He dispatches Blofeld a little flippantly,
Yeah.
you know, kind of,
Yeah.
you know, which is cute in a way.
Yeah.
but the movie's theme of revenge and all that, you know, kind of ties in with, and then of course I always felt that Bond got his, you know, spiritual revenge by getting vengeance on Della and or for Della and Felix.
Yes.
At the end.
Absolutely, good point.
Because they bring up his wedding. Oh, he's married. You know?
But that was a long time ago. That's
Yeah, no, that's a great point. In fact, I mean, honestly, I feel like if you have to sort of know the On Her Majesty's story to really feel that License to Kill works.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on if you just look at it as, well, it's Felix and that was his pal. It's got to run a little deeper than that for you to really sort of get the.
I really think that what happened to Della just drove him over the edge, because it just brought all that trauma of his own wife being murdered on their wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I tell you, we're thinking alike, guys. I like that.
Well, you're more than welcome to come out. So
I'm telling you, I keep looking at the calendar. I got the image on my screen as we're talking with the 5 dates on it, the 4 left. But if I mean, again, can't make any promises because my traveling is very limited lately. But I mean, I wouldn't mind it for sure. I haven't been to California in forever, so I would not mind it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Cool.
The weather's been beautiful lately.
We just the more people that are interested, they can contact us, and I'll put you on the email list, and you know, the more the merrier.
And we're learning as we kind of go along. So we've gotten pretty much nothing but positivity, which is nice. But you know, I just wanted to put that out there. Like, we're new, you know, but we'll as these things, and like just in a few months, the way it's grown from, you know, hanging out at a bar and, you know, telling one of the guys that works there, can we get like an extra table? We got more people, I think. You know, it was a little awkward at first, but now, you know, a theater full of, you know, people was really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, you guys are moving in strides. So honestly, hats off to you.
Yeah, we've definitely
just go for it. Dive out of that plane.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've tapped into a lot of enthusiasm. A lot of people saying thank you. We wanted to, not that I'm not patting myself on the back, but they're just like, last night, like, this is great. We're just so happy to have something like this be regular now. So
awesome.
We did have some people a little concerned about the 4K. There was this really 4K, and
it's 4K.
But then all the messages that I've been seeing on Instagram, I haven't gotten a chance to respond to them yet, but a lot of people have commented about how great the movie looked.
It was great.
How, like, literally, like, blown away they were by just how incredible that presentation was.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, honestly, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Neil, Steve, thank you for this. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate what you guys are doing. And again, it's nice to see some representation on the West Coast.
Thank you.
Man.
And we love your podcast.
So I
love your podcast. Yeah.
It was an honor. It was an honor to be on here, man.
Yeah,
you know, listening to you for a while, and, you know, so it's real cool.
Thank you.
Very good. Full circle, right? I mean, it's so cool, right?
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Say live and let die.